All right, guys, today we are finishing your sugar skull project. So you should have a finished sugar skull with your designs drawn on, and then you should also have your gradient background. So the first thing you're going to do is glue your sugar skull onto your gradient background. You can also decide which way you want your gradient to go. So depending on what you want it to look like behind, you kind of get a different effect by rotating your paper. So once you decide, you're going to glue your skull onto your gradient. Since this is painted paper, you're gonna have to hold it for just a few seconds so that it sticks on. All right, so then we're gonna be creating some silhouettes of Day of the Dead symbols around our skull. So you're gonna have one big symbol in all the corners with two smaller symbols next to them. So I've got this sheet that shows you some symbols you could do. So I have two types of marigolds, and then I also have a heart. So your symbols are going to use positive and negative space. So remember, the positive space is the black paper and the negative space is the cut out. So that creates a silhouette that shows our gradient through the background. So all of these designs are going to start with a black piece of paper, black little square, and the dotted line is a fold line. So you're going to fold your paper in half. Okay. And then all of these designs, you're just going to draw half of it on the fold. So I'm going to draw this in white pencil so you can see, but you guys can just use regular pencil. So if I'm doing this first marigold, I'm going to draw a jumping line on my fold line, and I stopped at the folds. Then step 2 is I draw a smaller jumping line. And step 3 is a half circle. So I have a design that matches this example. Next, I want to fold it so that I can see my design. So that means I have to fold my paper backwards. If you fold it like this, your design is on the inside and you won't be able to see where to cut. So you're gonna fold it so that you can see your lines. And then we're just gonna start cutting on that outside edge. Okay, so I have cut the first line. So I've got the outside of my marigold. Next, I'm gonna cut the second line. Okay, so now I have a marigold with positive space and negative space in the center, and then a smaller one with positive space and nothing in the center. So I have one more, a little half circle. And then now I have 3 shapes. So when you're doing positive and negative space, it's kind of like a puzzle. You're going to use one of the positive shapes by itself. So the small one has positive space and negative space in the center. The big one has positive space, and then I can also add the circle so that it's flip-flopped from this smaller cutout. So this would be a big detail that I could add in a corner of my design, and this would be a small detail that I could add on the side. So I'm gonna pick 4 more shapes. Okay, so again, I have some finished ones of all 3. So this would be the first example. This one is the second example. This would be the third example. So I am going with this first choice for all of my corners, and I have those cut out. So I'm going to start gluing them in the corners of my background. So I've got my bigger details. Next, I have the smaller flowers that I cut out, which is the negative space. So I can add that next to one of my bigger ones. like this, or I can put them on this side. And then I'm gonna have one more small symbol that I need to create on the other side. So every corner is gonna have one big one and two small details. All right, so I could either cut out another small flower with a circle out like that to make it symmetrical, or I could cut something completely different that wasn't on my paper, like a leaf, or I could do a couple leaves. So it's up to you what you do with that last spot. We just want to do the same thing all the way around. And if you're cutting out a whole new shape like this leaf, you could fold your paper like this, and then cut out your shape. So I've got two curved lines for a leaf, and that gives me two leaves at once. So that would be a faster way to cut things out. So for your extra shape, I did leaves for that one, but if you wanted to do something like a shape, so if you remember like the sugar skull designs like we did on our actual skull, you could do like a curved shape, something like that would be cool. So I'll just cut an example for you. And you can always draw this first with your pencil and then cut it out. So like that would have been a cool shape if I had done maybe like my heart. I could have done some shapes like this in the corner with my smaller heart in there as well. So that would be a cool design for the corner. So whatever you come up with, you just need to have one large design in the center and then two smaller ones on the side. So when you have everything glued on, you're gonna flip it over and rub the back for a few seconds. Remember, this is painted paper, so it's kind of hard to get it to stick sometimes. Okay, so then when you're finished, you should have your sugar skull with your gradient background and some positive, negative symbols on the sides.